Welcome back. Could Illinois become the next state to jump into what's become a nationwide redistricting battle? The campaign arm for House Democrats is touting a draft of a new congressional map that targets a district currently held by an Illinois Republican. Here with me now to discuss this and how it's playing out nationwide, CBS News political reporter Hunter Woodall, and up in New York, Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Mr. Antony Salvanto. Hunter, let's start with you. Walk us through these at least 9 states now that are toying with making changes similar to what we've seen in Texas and are anticipating in California.
Well, that's the thing, California and Texas may just cancel each other out. So the changes happening in these other states, they loom large in this huge discussion about the 26 midterms. You have Missouri. They've already redrawn one congressional district held by a Democrat, now to favor a Republican. Also North Carolina, they've taken a battleground congressional district held by a Democrat, redrawn that to favor a Republican candidate as well. Those are the 2 changes currently in law, but there's a whole bunch of other states that could actually make changes. You have in Utah, there's a court order that's going on right now. Virginia Democrats are trying to redraw in their Commonwealth, their state. Ohio is a state law that means they have to redistrict. And Indiana Republicans, they're facing a lot of pressure to redistrict, and they seem to be caving, though it's not quite clear if that can actually pass at this point.
And Antony, you've of course been crunching the numbers as you are so adept at doing. What will the maps potentially look like once this is all done, and who ultimately gets the advantage then? Is it a wash, or does one come out with an advantage?
Well, look, Ed, for one thing, you talk about the maps. Here's the map of the U.S. House after the last election. We don't normally pull this out and have to plug this in for at least until next year, if not for redistricting, for at least another 5 years, right? So that's a broader context here. But look, Hunter pointed out, if the Republicans were to get, let's say, 5 more seats out of Texas, if the redistricting measure passes and the Democrats get 5 more and cancel each other out of California, one of the things you're seeing is Republicans could stand to pick up another one out of North Carolina. You'd mentioned, and where there's a lot of talk about Indiana. I'll dive in there because it sort of illustrates an example for people watching this going through. Democratic districts often tend to be a little more packed in because there's a lot of Democrats that live around cities, right? So in this case, around Indianapolis, where they might, if new maps are proposed, carve up some of those districts and put them into then more Republican-leaning suburbs, et cetera. And you're going to see that dynamic play out again and again over the course of a lot of these states. Democrats, for their part now, are starting to talk about places like maybe going to Virginia, maybe going even to find a district in New York where they could start to add a few on their side as well. Again, all not something we are used to seeing in a year that ends in a 5, Ed.
The New York example, Hunter, is a legal fight, not a legislative fight, not a referendum, but an attempt to take essentially a Brooklyn and Staten Island district that's usually held by Republicans and argue it's become more Latino, has more black voters than it traditionally has in years past, and therefore should be subject to a redraw.
That's the fascinating thing there, this idea. It's the congressional district held by Representative Millie Takis, and this idea that this should be the district that's one of the rare Republican districts in that part of New York. Being targeted in this lawsuit, essentially, it seems like a little bit of a Hail Mary attempt by Democrats to try and get some way to change the maps in New York. It's a tough one, and it's unclear what's going to happen there.
So, Antony, is it fair to say if the California Proposition 50 passes next week that essentially draws Democrats as many as 5 more seats, that you could put down, roughly, 45, 46 of the seats in the 53 seats in that state in the blue column and go from there?
So there's a dynamic here, Ed, across all of this. It includes California, also includes Texas and others. When a party gerrymanders a district, they do run the risk that they dilute their voters, that they spread them out into other districts. If they don't get the same support, and I'm just going to draw another number here, 96%, right? That's the percent of Democrats who voted for Democrats, Republicans who voted for Republicans in the last midterm. But if that varies a little bit, then some of these redraws could backfire on them. They could get districts that aren't quite as partisan as they had hoped, to say nothing of some of the new voters in there. And look, here's one other thing. You mentioned legal fights. I'm going to draw a circle around the South, because there's another thing going on here, too, with the Supreme Court. If they were to decide a case, and this is going to take months, that were to reverse part of the Voting Rights Act, then possibly Republicans who control the redistricting in these southern states might have a chance to redraw some of these lines, too, and gain even more seats out of the South, Ed.
To be continued. Antony Salvanto, I'm glad you're tracking it. Hunter Woodall, you as well. Thank you both for being here.